Okay, welcome to the show. We are live right here on the Supernatural Tours and Events Facebook page and also on YouTube as well this evening. We're a bit of a special one for you tonight because we're going to be looking back at a TV show which has been running for 15 years. It doesn't sound a long time, but that kind of TV show actually is an exceptionally long time to be fair. And we're going to look at some of the folklore around that. We're talking about the TV show which just ended in America, here in the UK. It's on at the moment, and that is Supernatural. We've got James Buster season. Hi, James.
Hi, Andrew. I've got to say, it really did make me laugh. You done a little dance bit at the start. Didn't actually realise it was live, but
I don't think anyone saw that bit. Okay, I wasn't quiet, but there we go. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And if you've got anything you want to contribute towards, feel free to get in touch. Now, this TV show has been going for an impressive 15 years. It just ended in the US. Here in the UK, it's on 4Music. What? On 4Music on Friday night.
yeah, no, I've been watching it on 4Music.
What's that about? I don't get it. So today we're going to focus on that. Now, it's fair to say that although the TV show, in series 4 onwards, has kind of been fairly around about Angels and Demons, before the show was pretty much based on some kind of truish folklore and some not quite so true. By that we mean things like the Slender Man, a very well-known alleged folklore story. I watched a movie about Slender Man the other day called Slender Man, funny enough. It's a movie. Right through to the vampires, the werewolves, the angels, the demons, and all those in between. In fact, even ghosts covered several times on there as well. So we're going to focus on that. So as always, we want you to interact with us. If you're online watching right now on Facebook, then get in touch with us. I've got a bit of a blog going on Facebook at the moment. We'll tell you about it later. And if you are from Facebook, actually watching right now, actually answer your messages. Anyway. Or you can watch us on YouTube as well. So if you're joining us, happy Sunday morning to you. James,
Hello.
why, firstly, do you like this TV show? What has kind of made you want to watch it?
Supernatural, I must admit, I'm watching it at the moment on 4Music. I've been watching it for many, many years. It's quite strange. I never got into it on season 1. I actually started watching it from season 2. And then went back and saw season 1. And I think the first episode, of course, I saw was episode 1 of season 2. And that's where Dean was out of his body trying to work out what was going on. And I think being a paranormal and actually more or less watching something that's not too serious, but then not like too silly at the same time, it's dead in the middle. It got me hooked, and something I liked about it is some of the monsters and demons and stuff like that. You can actually tell they have actually done their research behind it. I know some of the stuff in the program is made up. I know, but
well, they've got to do that, haven't they? They've got to make it a little bit up.
Are actually quite factual on what is known about the monster or demon that playing forth, which I highly appreciate.
Which is an intriguing. There are some intriguing stories behind there we can't forget about. We've got to mention some of the ghost stories you mentioned there a few moments ago. Do you know what happens in the very last episode? It's been aired in America already about 2 or 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I think it was.
I'm going to say, I haven't actually seen the last episode yet because I'm still watching it on 4Music.
Yeah, so if you're in America right now,
slowly.
Some of you will be in America right now, so you will know the answer to that question. If you don't know, you might want to close your ears a little bit here, James, because we're going to give you a bit of a spoiler. Because the actual finisher, much like Game of Thrones, has been heavily criticised about how the program ends. And how it actually ends, if you don't know, close your ears, is that, no surprise, Dean dies. Young, Sam lives out the rest of his life, gets old, and when he dies, the brothers reunite on the bridge, featured in the very first episode on season 1. They're both ghosts, both young. That's how it ends. That is the end of the whole entire program ever. Strange ending. So the end is gone.
I will actually say, even though you say, I
I didn't
someone
criticise
dies
the
on
ending,
it.
but a lot of people have.
Quite a few people have actually died in Supernatural and they've brought back to life.
Yeah, the
So-
Dean and Sam being two of those.
Yeah, I think personally, in a lot of series now, even though they may end on some sort of cliff edge or whatever, big dramatic effect, it's not a big thing now, especially in supernatural programs and stuff like that, where we've seen countless of times people coming back to life.
And I think when you do these kind of programs, I suppose in a way, you go off to do programs of a similar nature. So those of you might know that Garrett, who plays Sam, was in Friday the 13th, actually House of Wax many years ago, before the program. Then went on to do, this other, the remake of Friday the 13th. Jensen Ackles himself has been in the newer version, I say newer, about 2007, 8 now, I think it was, of My Bloody Mask. No, what's it called? Whatever it is. Bloody Mastick or something like that. My Bloody Valentine, that's the one. My Bloody Valentine. It's about people in an underground mine. It's actually the villain in that particular movie. And both of them found jobs post Supernatural. Of course, Jensen's going to tout that program you've been watching on Amazon Prime.
I'm trying to remember what it's called now.
Boys, whatever it's called, isn't it?
Yeah, The Boys.
A remake of Texas Walk or whatever it's called. He's going to be doing the remake of that, which is nothing to do with Supernatural. But anyway, so many things feature on this, and I'm going to leave into Peter, Janice, and Karen who's watching live right now. We all know we love I'm a Celebrity. That place is haunted too. Forget about those ghosts. We're talking about these ghosts. It's on catch up. And yeah, so a lot of progress. We go right back to series one, where a lot of it was about folklore. It was about the ghosts and the vampires. Let's talk about ghosts first, because we all love ghosts. Peter said, in the Hindu ghost stories. I don't think any of those have been featured in the show either. I'm not sure. Back in the day. So let's kind of just start with first. What are the not so true folklore stories? Ones that kind of really exaggerate a little bit to kind of get you watching?
I'm trying to think. I know earlier I was actually looking this up, and they did actually mention for Gun. For actual Gun, that's supposed to kill any demon or ghost. Yeah. It's not actually true, but the design of it is actually based on the original cult.
And some people go to a right effort to watch this show tonight. Janice is watching live from her bath, everybody.
Ooh.
And we're going to feature that right now live. No, joking. Some of the stuff in it obviously exaggerated. It's got to be exaggerated. It's got to fit. I mean, come on. Both of them have died, gone probably the end of every season so far. Literally, one of them's died and they've all come back to life again. So that's obviously highly exaggerated. But I remember actually Lizzie Borden's house was featured in one of the episodes as well. And you don't know much about Lizzie Borden. It's got its whole season on Netflix. You can watch as well. Lizzie Borden house was basically a house where she kind of killed her relatives and stuff. And it's still there. It's still there, the actual house. It's a tourist attraction now, no surprise there. And it's featured on Ghost Adventures and all those kind of shows you watch nowadays. But it's also featured on the Supernatural as well as part of the show. So again, it's not a famous story that has been linked into the program. Yeah, it's been exaggerated a little bit, but it still fits in there somehow in terms of the Supernatural. And they're also featured other programs. There's been a whole vampire episode, which is basically taking the mickey out of Twilight. Yes, that happened too. Do you remember that one?
I do remember quite a few vampire episodes.
You what?
So I do remember quite a few vampire episodes.
But I
always remember, what was it, the vampire Benny as well?
The vampire what?
Benny.
Okay, tell us about it.
No, Benny is not actually folklore. He was just a vampire.
Okay.
Back in about season 10.
People do believe that. Here in the UK, in fact, in London, Highgate Cemetery is known for vampires. People go there looking for vampires, and sometimes they actually don't see anything, but that sucks. Really. But people do believe in vampires. What is the whole thing about vampires? Why are we scared of the old Dracula and what you showed me last night, Docula?
This is,
Yeah, of course, there'd be a link to it.
I must admit, I know vampires we could have a whole show on. The strange thing is with vampires, the longer and more research you actually do, it's surprising. They're all across the world with slightly different descriptions, but if you trace back religions and everything else, there's something that represents a vampire. And of course, there's many different theories from Vlad the Impaler to Dracula on where people actually believe they came from.
Yeah. We want to hear your comments. Maybe you're a believer in vampires. There are people, of course, these days, and that's been featured on the show as well, who live the life of a vampire. So they go to these weird, they do, they go to these clubs. What are you
Yes,
laughing
I
at?
know. I've been told several different stories of where I remember one story I was actually told. For those of you not seen Blade, where you had all the blood dripping from the ceiling, apparently there is actually places out there like that.
Well,
So,
yeah, there is. They go to these like nightclubs, don't they, where they go and they do vampire, I don't know what you call them, vampire lords or whatever, and they do weird sacrifices. Mainly, this is not right. I'm not saying it's right. Mainly to animals and stuff, but also when they do certain acts with each other, they go a bit far and like to see a bit of the red stuff, which is a bit different. Actually, there is a documentary on Netflix if you want to watch it. Or was it Amazon Prime? Probably Amazon Prime actually. With about people who lived the life of a vampire. James, have you ever lived the life of a vampire?
no, I've dressed up as one in the past, but that's about it.
That was when he went to trick or treating as a kid. Obviously, this year he's devastated. He couldn't go because of the whole lockdown. And well, actually, it wasn't lockdown technically. It was just before that.
Got no sweeties. However, I have actually got some jelly babies with me.
Oh, there are other products available. Just so you know, other products available. I bet if you put it up on Facebook, I turn that down quick enough. They can't bother to respond to you. So
I have actually got another one that came from Supernatural. Now, for those of you that probably grew up, I actually do remember doing this.
well, we all grew up.
Grew up depending on what part of the world you're from, and that is Bloody Mary. Of course, the theory is,
Didn't they?
the theory is you put it on a mirror for name and you call out Bloody Mary 3 times and she will appear. I think I've done that several times, but
I don't know what it is. People like some weird reason people like to do it in schools. I went to Catholic schools. That's really wrong that people were doing that. But people did go into like I don't know what it is with the toilets. Apparently, ghosts seem to congregate in toilets in schools. Apparently, but anyway, we used to do the Bloody Mary thing. But kids, don't try this at home. You should not try it. It's very very naughty, isn't it, James? But if you
yes,
want it, there's also the name of an alcoholic drink, but that's something different. So Bloody Mary is. I mean, when we talk about origins of Bloody Mary, of course, Mary Tudor was nicknamed Bloody Mary during her time on the throne. So we have had a monarch nicknamed Bloody Mary. Moving down through the lines, of course, people nowadays do the whole saying things in the mirror 3 times, and they don't actually know if it was actually had something happen from it.
not to my
Apart from
knowledge.
Mary.
I'm guessing there's probably out in the world there is probably a handful of stories where people have had stuff happen. Whether that's coincidence or not, you know.
I mean, to be fair, Janice is in the bath right now. She must have a mirror in her bathroom. If you could try it, don't. I'm joking. Just don't do it. But there is an episode on that. And what happens if you do that in the mirror 3 times? Suppose you've tried and never got anything from it. That's you, James.
Oh, sorry, I thought you was coming on from that. Nothing happened.
What's supposed to happen?
Of course. Well, ideally, depending on where you actually look on the show on Supernatural, of course, she came forward and it was Bloody Mary's ghost, or a ghost of Bloody Mary, that tormented people. Now, growing up, there's many different theories on that the ghost would appear and speak to you, to ghosts would be violent, or whatever else. I think being at school, I probably heard 101 different things that were supposed to happen.
But what about the spooks of Bottle Bay? They're quite scary, aren't they?
I've actually got
So,
another ghost story as well. Or
was it
ghost,
featured in the show too?
yes, and that is not actually a ghost. Sorry, I meant demon. Crossroad demon. So of course it's believed on a lot of crossroads there may be a demon there. Now of course you can bargain with, sell your soul with, and of course get whatever you want in return.
How
Now
much did you get for it?
my soul, nothing. It's way gone. But now in reality there is actually a handful of stories that where people actually claim to actually sold their soul to Crossroads demons. And there's even songs out there, whether it's Crossroad Blues or
Sing one for us?
Outhound on My Trail. And
Can you
strange
sing one
thing is,
song for us?
no. The strange thing is, what we'll actually say, going into Crossroads as well, I know locally to where we are in Portsmouth, there's actually a few spots where people would actually bury people that committed suicide on crossroads.
Well, I used to work in a building as buried, got crossroads by it.
Yeah, that's actually the same point I'm on about. Just that
People used to say, and Janice can verify this, people used to say that, in fact, actually, because people knew what I did, he used to say that on the 5th floor was haunted. I don't know why it's the 5th floor, because that's quite high up for where we were. But weirdly, one day there, I was doing a training session, and the actual floor was vacant then. It's a true story. It's a true story. It's not actually a joke, it's true. And someone had told the group about this ghost. And they're like, no, whatever, whatever. I'm not even joking. We were sat in the room with the door closed, and someone in front of 6 of us rattled the door handle. Right, it's the third door, you can't see behind it. When I opened the door, there was no one there. And the whole group like got really freaked out. And a couple of weeks later, it happened again. And with some point that then, a few weeks later, a man told me that he saw someone up there. So he left a recorder to do EVP, left it there, went off, walked off. Very few people ever went in there because there was nothing for me to go there for. And he said he caught voices on it. So that was at a crossroads here in Portsmouth. So, and Janice said the back room was always a bit weird. So you would always get people claiming to see these ghostly stories and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I went there loads of times when it wasn't being used by builders to use it as a training room. And no, other than that, nothing really happened. But yeah, a couple of times people did see some weird stuff. So maybe that's to do with the crossroads. Do you want to?
Yeah, I know I've came across several history
Oh, I
books.
see what you did there. I came across?
Yeah.
That I came across.
I'm not intended. But I've actually came across several history books and they've actually said a lot of bodies are actually buried there. But it's quite strange. It's one of those areas where you'd never think it now. Maybe many, many years ago, or about 100 years ago, you might think, oh, okay. But of course, over a period of time, that tradition has been lost.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there.
In England.
There's still a lot of people in that area possessed by spirits, but on the ghostly variety. Sorry, I'm just kidding. So, as we said, yeah, again, another crossroads demon happened right there. It's another scary story for you. Again, relates to this program, Supernatural. Actually, weirdly, talking about how you got into the program, for myself, actually, it was, so back in the day, it was actually on ITV2. Remember, it's changed channel quite a few times in the UK. ITV2, it's been to ITV2. In fact, it was so popular. ITV tried to do their own version of it called Primeval. Didn't really work. So it was ITV2. Then moved to Living TV, which became Sky Living, then to E4, then to 4 Music, same company anyway. There's moved channel a few times. But it's been off air. We're actually quite behind the American series, which of course has ended. We're halfway through the last series here in the UK at the moment. So we've kind of got a little bit behind as time has gone on. How I saw it was actually advertised on ITV2 before it started. One day, just sat there watching American Idol, and this advert came up, and I thought, oh, what's wrong with that? Everyone watching
I
it's a
think
very popular, very popular TV show, you know. And I was watching it, and this advert came up with Supernatural, and I thought, well, that's definitely down my kind of alley, kind of thing I would watch. So I tuned in, and yeah, that was it, really. That was the story
So
of
was
my.
that? I was just going to say. So did you carry on watching it from season 1 straight away through?
Yeah, all the way through from episode 1, all the way through to current day. So I followed it from right from the very beginning, and yeah, right to the very end. Did you?
Well, like I said, I started from season 2 and
Oh,
then went
always
back
do
to
ask.
season 1. I've got to say, what's your favourite episode? And even for people at home, what's yours as well?
Well, I can't see. For me, it's gonna have to be series 1 or 2. One of them was actually about. I think it was series 1, right near the very beginning, maybe the very very early episodes, which was about just so you know, a few people have lost us. I think we had a bit of a break in connection somewhere, so it should hopefully come back in a few minutes' time. Literally, we had about something like 20 odd viewers have gone dropped to zero, and Janice just told me they've lost us. So if you haven't lost us, hopefully we'll be back very soon. But yeah, for me there was one about the miracle healer. He was blind and he was a medium. He could he went to his shows and stuff, went woo, and he was able to heal them. And yeah, it turned out it was all supernatural, of course. But that was quite a good one. That was really early days. There's also haunted house. Any of ones with haunted houses really, I quite like. There's one with the circus as well. It was quite creepy. So there's quite a few, yeah, good ones. Janice, you've got to watch it. It is a good program. If I'm honest, series 1 to 4 probably the best ones. Series 5, I know that's when it became popular in America. But for me, I don't mind the whole Angel Demons thing, but I think it was probably stretched out more than what it should have been, if that makes sense. Every time they throw in a wild card episode, although I actually quite thought the musical one was quite funny, the 500th episode, whatever it was. Also, I don't know how it
Actually,
was.
yeah.
Where did the
I think the
musical
music episode was one of the best ones.
the musical about the program. And they think they're real people, but obviously they're acting the part as well. And we have to ask you, it's a bit like Ant and Dec, isn't it? Here, who was your favourite? Sam, Dean, or maybe it could be Castiel. This is a good question. Or maybe someone else on the show. James, who is your favourite?
I've got to say, my favourite would actually be Dean, but then it would actually be after Dean, Cassiel, and then probably.
You've got beef with Sam. He's the long hair, you don't like it.
I don't mind Sam. He's just not my favourite person, I guess.
I should know.
Saying that, also you got Crowley. I did actually meet him years ago.
I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah, of course, when he left the show, he was a bit upset about the program when he put a few comments on Twitter and stuff. Which there we go. So that's another thing altogether. So yeah, we've all probably got our favourites. If you haven't watched it or you have watched it, tell us who your favourite is. Sam, Dean, Castiel, someone else like Crowley or whoever it is. Let us know. We want to find out right now. And if you remember some of the folklore from that program, tell us about it. What is it that gets you hooked on this program? Because it's got a bit of a cult following, to be fair. It's certainly got a good old cult following, and the guys from it, obviously Comic Con and things of that nature in the past, when life was kind of normalish, were able to get a lot of fans there. So it has, and in fact, actually, there was one in, I think in Birmingham, Scotland, or something like that. There was a supernatural convention here in the UK. So it certainly has got a bit of a cult following behind it. James, by the way, has got a bit of beef with Sam. So if you're watching right now, I apologise for James.
No, I don't mind Sam. I think I'm just more of a.
Don't try and dig yourself out the hole now.
No. I'm just more of a Dean person, but yeah.
I'll take your word for that.
I think it's just. I think personally, I would say it's just their attitude where Dean would actually go head on in and not think about things, where Sam will actually stay back think about it
Well, he's the more of
and then
the.
going.
He does more. Yeah, he's more of the thinker, I would say. Whereas Dean kind of just jumps in. Because remember the very first episode, Sam was engaged. He was living away in Connecticut. Not cheap there, is it? In Connecticut at uni studying and got dragged away from that. Law, in fact, dragged away from that to go and find her dad. Of course, her dad featured in The Walking Dead as a different character, of course. But if you don't know this, he plays, I can't remember who he plays in The Walking Dead actually, but whoever is his enemy. And he always had a baseball bat with like, what do you call it, weapon with barbed wire on it. So we actually did a bit of a nod to that. They actually had Sam Heath use that weapon and mention his character name in The Walking Dead, because he was their dad in Supernatural. He returned after that anyway, so he did go back to the program. So, what are our thoughts on it?
What? Supernatural itself, or?
Yeah, do you hope they do come back and do a movie at some point?
Well, I know because I read a lot of comic and geeky stuff. They've already said maybe in the future if they would come back for like 8 special episodes, for like maybe a Netflix special, something like that. But they're gonna at least wait 5 years for the program to calm down, because they said if they do bring it back, they want it to be a bit more special, not just like every year thing.
I don't know, I think they should just, if it's finished, just leave it that way, I think. I don't think there's a need to really bring it back.
I think this is the whole thing though. If you look at quite a few different sci-fi shows, especially, and whatever else, there's such a big following on some of them, and even like you said with Supernatural itself, the fans want it back, but at the same time, it can upset the fans on depending on what direction it goes. And sometimes directors and bits like that will actually listen to the fans. Other times they won't, which of course can cause quite a few issues. I've seen a lot of series over the years where they paid attention to the fans, they brought it back, and other times they brought it back and haven't.
In Haven, really? Oh, maybe I'm down there then. Oh, right. I haven't brought it back. 3 minutes going to be in Haven. I thought, oh, right. I'll jump in there. Yeah, so it is a good program. People love it, don't they? But it has finished, and yeah, well, what can we say really? It's been a great program for the last 15 years. If you haven't watched it, you can watch some on Amazon Prime, I believe, in the UK.
Yep.
9 episodes, or you can buy the DVDs, of course, and watch it there. Watch the most current series in the UK over on 4 Music, because it's got loads of music in it. So why would it not go on 4 Music? So make sure you tune in your way. It's been quite a short one today, isn't it?
Yes.
We wanted to check in, just see how people are getting on. What can we update people on when it comes to Supernatural tours? Because we are going from lockdown to tier 2 very shortly. Whatever that means, well, socially, whatever. That's up to everybody, of course. But what is happening, what it means we still can't do events. You see anybody doing ghost hunts, they shouldn't be, because that's naughty. Well, unless you're on the Isle of Wight, maybe, but other than that, you shouldn't be doing it. So there's no ghost tours happening sadly for the rest of this year. Well, I know there's only
quite
one
strange.
online.
Our last one was Halloween.
Well, this managed to get through Halloween. That's a positive sign. We could have been cancelling Halloween as well. But when you think about the last, what month we're now? We're a month and well, we're nearly on December, are we? 2 days away. You think about that, it's actually been a long time that we haven't had to do events this year. So March, yeah, basically 3 months of the year we've actually done anything. Yeah, we thought. When are we going to be back again? For a bit of a longer show. We know I'm the celebrities on now, so probably people will tune in to watch that, which is fair enough. It's Haunted Castle is pretty good. Maybe one day we might be on it. Probably not. You never know, I wouldn't mind. James, you watching it? Obviously not right now because you're here, but
I keep on seeing clips and stuff like that. I know I keep on seeing ghost stories in a paper about the castle being haunted. I've seen people make up stories and take fake pictures by using their photo apps, and some of the newspapers actually going along it and believing it's a true ghost. So of course, even for and Deck being spooked, to even for people in the castle.
No, which one's which? You really? You can't really not tell. They always stand in the same order. So Anne's always is the taller one, and Deck's the shorter one. They always stand the same way. They don't ever do it any other way, do they?
No.
So if you don't know, now I know which one's which. Janice has put too long without events, but we are being safe. Yeah, absolutely. It's what it's about is being safe. So yeah, it has been a long time. Many of our staff, in fact, haven't seen each other for ages, or for much of this year as well, because we've been in lockdown. James is still, he's very upset about not seeing me. I mean, I can see in his face right now. In fact, I shouldn't mention too much because he'll start to cry. Yeah, he will. He will. He's devastated. But yeah, it is about being safe. So we'll be back soon, hopefully, with some more of the game. We like to get some more of our team on, don't we?
Yes, indeed.
We get more of a sort of a massive debate about something, and we're getting you at home interacting, taking part. But for now, that's it.
Yes.
Nice and short.
Yes.
So
we'll see you soon.
Yeah, stay safe, everybody.
Yeah. See you soon.